Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, or good afternoon, or morning, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to the 59th of hopefully many episodes of Bard Advice, a D&D slash TTRPG slash nerd podcast, where I, Charles Chaz Yazik, the DM, the Bard, however you may know me, do my best to answer any questions, concerns, critiques, criticisms, complaints that you may have. Just a reminder, as we like to remind everyone at the top of the episode of the email of the show, to please send all of those questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice, if that helps you remember. So please send those over. That's how we keep this show going. That's where the content comes from, is you, the listener. So send it in, bardadvice@gmail.com. If you'd like to get some merchandise, you can do so over at manshorts.com. And if you'd like to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Y-A-H-Z-I-C-K. At the top of the show, we also like to thank all of our members, patrons, super chatters. Remind everybody to please like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications, and rate the podcast on your respective platforms. Hello, everyone, all of the regulars. Thank you for joining us again this Friday. Hello, Chris, Pirate, Cheeto, other Chris, Stacy, Bean, Ron. How are you? Thank you all for joining. So, we have some questions this evening. I actually would like to start with a little bit of an art corner that's two things, and then we'll get right into some questions, because the first question of the evening is something that I kind of wanted to address up at the top anyway. So before we do that, let's talk about the things that we have for Art Corner. First of all, this week we have a submission that I actually received earlier today. I think I saw a friend of ours, Nate, who has, and I'll pop his logo up here on the screen. He has done a remix to Big Bad. It's kind of like a dubstep electronica remix. It's kind of super dope. So I've put a link for that in the description to go check out that, the Big Bad remix. I think that the name that he goes by on SoundCloud is Janeko. But I'm not sure of the pronunciation of that. Forgive me if I butcher it, but don't feel bad. People mispronounce my names all the time, so it's no worries. But yeah, go check that out. I've put the SoundCloud link in the description on the video to go and check out the Big Bad remix, because it's pretty cool. And while we're speaking on things just in general, before we get into the discussion of content stuff, I would like to let everyone know, I can officially announce it because now it's been filmed and it's going to be slated for this Sunday's slot. The first episode of D20 Debates is going to air this Sunday. And I'm not sure if I've spoken about it on this podcast before, or maybe I've spoken about it in the Discord. I'm not sure. But it's basically a debate show where Jay, who plays Lance on the Man Shorts YouTube channel, and I just argue about stuff. And the first episode is Barbarian versus Bard. So I will say I've already finished it and it is ready to go. So it'll be airing on Sunday in the place of the regular D&D editions. And really interested to see if someone to see how people respond to that and see if they like it. Jay and I both had a lot of fun doing it. I think Justin even had fun doing it from a production standpoint. It's a little bit easier for us and it's way fun. So please check that out on Sunday and make sure to let us know. You know, we're going to kind of use the comment section to determine the winners of these debates. So basically it kind of works where we just decide on a topic as to what we're going to argue about. We each pick a side, and then there's a little bit of prep work. We're still working out the kinks on the actual mechanics and the actual production side of things. We'll probably add some things in the future, but the new show, the new show Pirate, is D20 Debates. Here, I'll put the thing up again. This is going to be that'll probably be the thumb on Sunday. So the first one is Barbarian versus Bard. And also, just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into it, or rather a little hint at what's coming next, the next episode of that show will be Melee versus Ranged. So that's really fun. So please watch that on Sunday. Let us know what you think of it, and let us know which you prefer, Barbarian or Bard. And then we'll use those comments to determine the winner moving forward, and then we'll see how it goes from there. So, I think that's all of the stuff that I wanted to do as far as Art Corner. A bit of a long Art Corner this week, but that's okay. Hope everybody's doing well. Like I said, we've got some questions that I want to get into. The first one, we've got 6 of them, so we'll go through, get our questions knocked out, and then we'll have a little chat. Hope everybody's been having a fantastic week. So, I do actually have a list of names this week, if you could believe that. I'm a little more prepared than normal. I'm also feeling better, which is nice, because it's been quite a couple of weeks of sickness for me on this side. So, the first question is from Walter. And Walter asks, "Hey Chaz, I saw your recent post on TikTok/Instagram about stopping making content. I hope this decision isn't permanent, because your stuff is some of my favorite online." Well, that's kind of you. "Your Mann short sketches are always funny, and you're a very talented lyricist/musician. If you do decide to walk away, I understand and wish you the best. Just remember, if you decide to return, you'll have an audience waiting. Thanks for all you do." Well, thank you, Walter. And also interesting, from a Walter. Well, I mean, clearly you go by Walter, but there was a reference I made on the Barbarian versus Bard debate about Walt Whitman, so that's pretty interesting. So, some clarity. Some of you might be just hearing this for the first time and be like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then other people, you already saw the video and maybe just want a little more clarity on what's going on. So, allow me to elaborate a little bit. I woke up last week and I was just feeling a certain type of way about stuff, and I kind of flippantly and quickly made a little TikTok that I pushed out there. And the reason that I made the TikTok in the first place is I wanted to give people that actually watch my content sort of a heads up that I would be kind of taking a little bit of a step back from producing as much as I do. And honestly, it was more in reference to the little extra projects that I have here and there, as well as like other projects that I've had planned for the future that may not just come through. The long and the short of it is doing this as a living is not as easy as it used to be. And there's tons of factors that go into that, right? There's the entire birth and success of TikTok as to like how content is moving, and YouTube and all these other platforms trying to keep up with it with their like version of shorts or whatever it is. So as a result, regular content, at least like, you know, the type of content that we make every week, there's not really a lot of space for that in there. I mean, maybe there is in the shorts and stuff, but it's just that at the moment, I split my time between working part-time at a local vape shop and working on the channel. I used to just work on the channel, and then as the years have gone by, it's not as lucrative as it once was. So I started working part-time, and now I'm getting to a place where I'm almost working full-time there to help supplement for the hours that I spend here. Meanwhile, I'm still putting in 30, 40 hours a week on the channel. And so I was simply pointing out that like something's going to have to give at some point, right? I'm either going to have to cut back on stuff, you know, either for a while, if not completely, because if I can earn the same living that I'm making working 20 hours less a week, I would like to do that. You know, yes, thank you. Got to pay the bills, right? So, like, it's not a situation where it's like, all right, guys, I've had it. I'm throwing in the towel and I'm done. That's not the purpose of why I made the thing at all. So I wanted to clarify that. And we've got another question about some stuff that's kind of in this realm as well later. That we'll talk more about it, but basically, like, I'm not going anywhere. We're still going to be producing, you know, we're going to try and see where a lot of things are going to hinge on how this D20 debate show goes, which is one of the reasons I'm encouraging people to go check it out and let us know what you think. I really hope that you like it, and it's something that we can move forward with, because, you know, we can always improve upon it and change it up a bit. But also, you know, I'm still going to be making the Baldur's Gate 3 stuff. So, like, honestly, like, not much is going to change, as much as it was just kind of a message to people who are always watching me that it's like, you know, I'm not going to be as aggressive with content creation as I have been. And so that was, I think, a real freak out. And it also kind of like it hammered home for me that it was kind of a good thing to put out there, because that video performed well than like that video performed better than pretty much anything I've posted in the last like 6 months. So like that really confirmed for me, like, oh my gosh, like the most watched thing that I've put up is the most watched thing that I've put up in the last 6 months was a video where people thought I was leaving the internet. So it was very kind of just like, I don't know, it's eye-opening for me, and it's also for me coming to terms with the fact that it's like I can only do what I can do with the time that I have, right? So like if you don't see me, just know that like I'm trying to make things easier for myself and for my family, and you know, we'll just have to see how it goes. So I guess that doesn't offer a whole heck of a lot of clarity, but I hope that it offers some. See what kind of stuff's being said in the chat. Do what's right by you. You're more important than the interwebs. Well, thank you. Vape store, need information about that for your health. Oh, yeah? You need to quit smoking, Ruby? It's the only thing that made me quit. I will say that confidently. And I did all kinds of stuff. Gum and stuff. Even vaping for a while didn't fully help me quit. It still took a little finagling. But I tell people all the time, if you have the right flavor, the right strength, and the right device, you can do it. And oh, for pain, well, in that case, yeah, you might look into CBD, or I don't know where you are, what your state is, as maybe if they have like a medicinal marijuana, that could be helpful for you. Listen, by the way, I'm not advocating for vaping, right? Like, it's still an unhealthy practice. But, you know, for me, in my opinion, if I'm vaping instead of smoking cigarettes, that's the goal. So, alrighty. Let's move on. Thank you for the question, Walter. I hope that offers some clarity. You know, honestly, like I was just feeling a little insecure, feeling a little overwhelmed, and feeling like, you know, I'm working so hard to make all of this stuff, and like really what it comes down to, and what I didn't say in the video is that like my audience has not grown that much, and that's not to say that I'm not satisfied with the audience that I have, but it's like if I can't get growth to earn more, then I might have to take a little step back. That's all. And yes, please hit the like button. Thank you, Pirate, for the reminder. That's something that you can help. If you're not able to contribute financially or whatever the case may be, you can always like the video, share the video. That stuff really does make a difference in the algorithm. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so let's move on. We've got more questions to get through. Thank you for the question, Walter. This next question is from Cody, and it's a little more D&D related, so let's talk about this. Cody asks, for an upcoming campaign, I am thinking about doing a Kobold Path of the Giant Barbarian that wields a mighty maul. I was wondering if you and Chak could discuss the pros and cons of taking my first level in Fighter to get the great weapon fighting style, then going the rest of the way as Barbarian, or just go straight Barbarian and grab the Fighting Initiate feat for it at level 4. My initial plan was to go Fighter 1, take Great Weapon Fighting, then go Barbarian to 4. At that point, take the +2 to Strength. Then at level 8, since I will have the ability to throw weapons and use my Rage bonus, take the Fighting Initiate feat to make thrown weapon fighting. Does that make sense, or is there a better way? Thanks for your time, and I await a response. Well, thank you for the question, Cody. I do not know a whole heck of a lot about that kind of multi-class. I will say I understand the value in taking it's a Kobold, Avram. I understand the concept of taking the fighter dip. I don't know if I would take it at level 1, only because depending on what the addition is and how the math works, wouldn't you, if you took fighter at level, or wouldn't you, if you took Barbarian at level 1, get a higher health? Don't you get more hit points? Because Barbarians have a higher hit die, right? That would be the only benefit that I could see to doing Barbarian instead of Fighter first. If you go Fighter 1, then not only do you get a fighting style, but you also get Second Wind, right? Which is probably pretty helpful for Fighter. Let me see what chat's saying. Fighter 2 gets Action Surge, but also delays ASI and Barbarian abilities. Oh, nice, Pirate. Pirate's in Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3. Nice. 12 versus 10. Right. So if you started with a barbarian and then just took the fighter as a dip level, it might give you better health overall because you're going to be getting the thing anyway. It's good to have a plan as long as you reassess once in a while. Allow yourself to change your plans. That's true. River said if you're going to do that, you might as well dip 2 levels into fighter for action surge. I tend to agree with that, actually. This is what I would do. I likely would start with barbarian. I would take 1 level in barbarian for the bigger health at the opening. And then I would dip levels 2 and 3 into fighter and then go barbarian. Because action surge is pretty insane. Second wind, raging action surge. Yeah. Yeah, even at level 3, you'd be pretty nutso. And then by 4 or 5, if you're just now focusing on moving forward with barbarian, then you can continue your plan as you wanted, right? With getting your +2 to strength at level 4 and then getting your fighter initiate feat at level 8. To be honest, it sounds like you kind of have already the plan that's the best plan in place. Only argument being maybe taking another level in fighter. Go 5 levels into barb and then drop 2 into fighter. Yeah, because did you say that you are level 8? No, you just mentioned that at level 8 you would grab the fighting initiate feat. I like the dual weapon fighting feats over action surge. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what you want to do. The second level, you're only getting action surge, but I say only getting. It's pretty nasty. It gives you a whole extra attack. But I think that if you were playing a variant human, it'd be better. Well, yeah, but I like the idea of the kobold, right? With the great weapon fighting and the Path of the Giant Barbarian. I think that's fun. So, yeah, I would say that you could totally do it your way, and I think you'd be satisfied, and it'd be fine. And you could also flip it around a little bit, where maybe you dip that level in fighter at level 2 or 3, and or you pick up a second level in fighter for action surge. But yeah, I think it does come down to like what you're going to be doing. Because if you're just going to be like a hack and slasher, just somebody that's going in there and like strictly trying to get as many attacks in DPS as possible, it might be worth taking that second level for action surge, because that makes you pretty crazy. But if you've got a different plan, which it sounds like you do if you're really only interested in 1 level of fighter for the fighting style. It's a tough one. I think that you just do what you got. I think you trust your gut and don't psych yourself out, because the plan that you laid out before me seems pretty good. So I would just stick with that. The only thing I might change is where I take the dip and if I take the second one or not. So depends if the DM lets you use a buckler and dual wield. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of it does depend on what the DM says and what they're cool with. So hopefully you've got an answer in there somewhere, Cody. I appreciate you submitting the question. And a reminder to everybody to please send questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. Basically, do they want feats earlier or later in the game? Well, I mean, if you want feats earlier in the game, then maybe you just stick with fighter anyway. I mean, if it's a feat issue. But if you can accomplish what you want to accomplish by just taking the 1 dip in fighter, then just take the 1. And just consider maybe taking a second one later for action surge. All right. Moving through to the next question. Thank you for the question, Cody. The next question is from Blair. And this goes into a little bit of what we were talking about with the first question. So, Blair asks, "Hello, Bard. Longtime fan of the podcast and the Man Shorts videos. For the last year or so, I've been writing and rewriting the first novel of a planned fantasy trilogy. As I near the ending, self-doubt has started to creep in. My inner saboteur is causing me to doubt the work. How do you deal with that?" I mean, not well. "Any tips on managing artistic insecurity?" Ah, yes, artistic insecurity. The original AI. Okay, well, first of all, thank you for the question, Blair. Yeah, writing's a nightmare, and best of luck to you. You know, if you're nearing the end, that's a good thing. I will say right off the bat, maybe that's part of the stress right there, is that you're nearing the end. I know that I certainly over the years with bigger projects, as you get towards the end, there's a little bit of a fear of, possibly a fear of success in there. You know, people assume like, oh, well, people are afraid of failure. And it's like, yeah, but then there's also a fear of success. That's a real thing because, you know, best case scenario, something does really go well and or gets really popular or makes a lot of money. And then now you've got a whole new slew of problems. So now you're in a different room. So I would say that you have to trust the process to an extent. You know, like every artist that's out there making a living on their art is there because they never gave up. So that's not to say that it's going to happen for you. It's not to say that you're going to get what you want, but for sure you can only get it if you don't give up. So you kind of just have to put your head down and push forward. I saw an interview, I think, with like Seth Rogen one time, and he said something about how like, oh yeah, well, everybody likes to make movies and make art and stuff. We just like never stopped doing it. And so, you know, that was also another reason it was important to me to clarify that video, because I don't ever want anybody to get the idea that it's just like, oh, well, I quit. Because like, I'm never going to stop making stuff. Even if I stopped making content on YouTube like I do and went back to like a regular 40-hour, 50-hour a week job, I would still make stuff on the side, whether or not I released it or not. And by the way, there's way more stuff I've ever made and not released than has been released. So I think that that's just the case of every artist. And in terms of like artistic insecurity, that just kind of comes with the territory, you know? That's just kind of what it is. So my recommendation would be to just kind of keep your head down and push through it. If you really love it, you'll do it anyway. You'll do it in spite of what someone else's advice or guidance is. So I would say that you just got to kind of trust the process, keep moving forward, keep writing and rewriting. And I'm glad to see that you noted writing and rewriting, because the rewriting is way more of the process. That's another thing I think that people don't realize, is that it's like I spend way more time doing rewrites. You know, we have like I have a television pilot that I've probably written 15 different times. I've probably had 15 different versions of it over the years. You need to have faith in yourself. You're near the end. That's a huge accomplishment right there, James says. Yes, thank you. And James is right. The fact that you're knocking on the door of the end of the movie, at the end of the book, is a really, really good thing. Don't let that psych you out. It's like I was just saying with Cody and the plan. It's like, it sounds like you've already got the plan. For me, as somebody who's a writer, if you're nearing the end of the book, that's great. Embrace that and kind of lean into it, I would say. And then the other thing is to just go ahead and finish it, because then it'll be out there, and once it's done, you know, nobody can ever take that away from you. Once you know, whether or not you publish it or anybody reads it, if you finish it and you have a finished copy of that book, then that's an accomplishment in and of itself. It's an incredibly difficult thing to write a book, or to do anything really, to make a film, any kind of, to make a painting. It's painstaking. And the only reason that we do it in the first place is because we love it. Also, we're a little crazy. But, you know, I think that this feels like a question that you kind of already probably know the answer to, which is you just got to kind of trust the crazy of the process. And don't worry about being insecure, because worry if you're not insecure. If you're ever making something and you think, this is awesome, that's the time to be concerned. I don't think most artists are really happy with their work. I've talked about that before. Like, if artists were happy with their work, they wouldn't keep making stuff. You know, if they were satisfied, They would only ever make one thing. And some artists do that. There are some artists who just like make a thing and then they never make anything else. And it's like, well, I guess then they were done. But most of us just keep making, and what we make just kind of changes over the years. Wonder if Wizards owns Might and Magic. That's a good question. Huh. Hadn't thought of that. Oh, yeah, and River, let Pirate, let River tell you about the about the Circle of Spores Druid, because that thing has been crazy. Super fun. I've been playing that in my new playthrough, in the new one, which will not air next week because it's the finale of this one, but the following week. So that'll be fun. Okay, so hopefully you found an answer in there, Blair. Best of luck to you on your endeavor in dealing with artistic insecurity. Moving right along, some more D&D related questions, which is good since this is kind of like a D&D podcast. The next question is from Sam. And Sam asks, hello, Bard. I'm the forever GM for my party and have been for a few years. We just finished up a Pathfinder homebrew and are starting a D20 modern campaign set in a cyberpunk dystopia. I want to create a dangerous environment with a sense of moral ambiguity. I want to present these issues without lengthy monologues or railroading. Good luck. Could you and chat discuss ways to achieve this? Also, love the new album. Well, thank you for the question, Sam. Sorry, I had to grab a sip of water there. Okay, so Cyberpunk Dystopia, you say. D20 Modern, you say. All right, well, what do you think, chat? What comes to mind? So it sounds like Sam wants to create a dangerous environment with a sense of moral ambiguity, but doesn't want to get monologue-y or railroading. So what comes to mind, chat? Any suggestions? I've got some notes here. Notably, oh, hey, Kirk, what's happening? Show instead of telling. So create consequences for their actions, which, by the way, that's just a good piece of advice for any DM. But specifically for this stuff, I said you need to present them with a scenario and let the repercussions impact the party accordingly. So, little things that you could put in there, wanted posters, postings of laws or warnings, just like general government decrees and stuff. You could introduce an NPC that has different motivations or ethics than the party. What's Chad saying? They're definitely beholders. Wait a minute, this is a different conversation. Shadowrun comes to mind. Oh, yeah. You could introduce... oh, wait, we just said that. Oh, I said, remember, consequence is not necessarily judgment. That's another general piece of advice for DMs. At least not directly. So it's the case with most TTRPGs, but specifically in this scenario, it's important to remind players that their actions have consequences within the world. And finally, create situations that allow for role play among the players, because that stuff kind of might come out organically as it is. But I'm the type of DM that I'll just put you into a spot and then you do something and then just get arrested, because it's like, and you didn't even know that was illegal, but now you do. And now you got to figure out how to get out of jail, by the way. Give choices and options and different consequences or rewards for what they choose. A city kind of like Mega City from Judge Dredd could make a fun setting. Yeah, I think you can always look to like existing media, existing like movies and shows for inspiration, as it were, in terms of building the world out. But I think that in terms of the moral ambiguity thing, I think you just kind of have to put it on the players to do what they're going to do. And so I think that you as the DM, that being the case, have to already understand what the rules are in your world. so that you can more effectively show it to them. But I think showing, not telling, is the big thing there, because you said you want to avoid railroading, you want to avoid monologues. And so that said, I think an easy way to do that is to make something that you know there's going to be something that one of them's going to probably do commonly. Make that an illegal thing in the world. And then you don't even have to directly say that that thing is illegal, so much as it's just like they get arrested and now they're dealing with that. So Kirk says, send them to steal something, then find out it's not what they thought. Golden Chalice turns out to be a woman. 5,000 5,000 turns out to actually be 5,000. That's what I was thinking. Let your players choose where to go and adapt and interject your important plot points as they move along. That way you railroad them without making them feel railroaded. Yeah, that's a good point too. I always, I think that one of the things that DMs can really get tripped up on is waiting on specific triggers. I know I've done this myself where, you know, let's just say, for example, like you put the players into a room and there's all kinds of things that they can do, but in order to go to the next part of the room, they have to pull this lever. If you just kind of like lead them to their own devices, if you leave them to their own devices, they might be in that room for 3 hours. Whereas you can, you know, maybe they go to move a picture and then you can make the decision right then that's going to be what opens the thing, so they can go on to the next one. Pull the lever, Kronk. Yeah. So you can always kind of like, and really you have to do that, right? Because no party is going to play exactly how you want to. You're going to have to adapt. You should have a plan, a backup plan, and a plan C. Need them to pull a lever, tell them not to. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Tell them to definitely not pull that lever, and then they'll pull it, and you can move on. And then that's not technically railroading as much as it is just like, it's like reverse psychology railroading. It's like, because you know that they're going to do what you tell them not to do, so just tell them what you want them, tell them not to do what you want them to do. Yeah? Does that make sense? Moral ambiguity. Yeah. Also, like, it's going to matter what your players' individual motivations are, their character motivations, as well as their backgrounds and their alignments, etc. Like, if you've already got a morally ambiguous group, then that's great. That's why I mentioned creating scenarios for role play. So if, like, I don't know, you get them into the city and then there's a scenario where they're all just kind of like sitting on a subway and then something is happening on the bus, like on the subway train, right? With other characters, NPCs. Perhaps, you know, something that goes directly against the moral compass of one of your players. And then now you have interaction with that. And then you're kind of figuring out what the rules are. Ask your group what they want and /like as far as setting. Be careful that you avoid copying it too closely. If you mention the lever, but they mess around in the room with other things, they'll activate a trap. They'll hit the lever when the room starts to fill with acid. Yeah, so I think that you can, without monologue or railroading, create that kind of dangerous environment. I actually, with the relationship that we have, like with our DM, with Ethan, like I'm freaked out when I'm given just kind of like license to do whatever. Mostly because, like, I tend to be the person who just, like, does whatever the thing is that you're not supposed to. But legit, like, some of the scariest memories that I have in D&D, both with Ethan and with Posey over the years, have just been us coming into a room and them just kind of being like, okay, what do you do? And it's just like, oh, okay. And so you find out the rules of the world very quickly when you just do whatever you want to do. Because if you as the DM have strong planning in place in the world as to like NPCs and systems and rules and laws and stuff, then they're just playing out their character, and then you just let the world play out around them. And so it's like, oh, well, what happened? Oh, you broke your beer bottle in the bar? Well, you're going directly to jail because that specific thing is like super illegal in the city. Chaz's breathable water trap to induce speedy investigation. You want to request a role in the Discord of Evil DM. Oh, you realize, though, if we had that as an assigned role, then there would be a bunch of us. Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's an answer in there for you, Sam. So do one of those things. And also, I think good recommendation from chat as well. Some good stuff in there. So hopefully that gives you an answer. We are going to move on. So we've got 2 more questions, and then we'll do a little chat. I guess we can discuss some stuff when it comes to sports and all kinds of other stuff that's going on. I saw something about something with Wizards. I don't know if there's any kind of news going on or what. But all right, moving along. The next question is from Liam. And Liam asks, how you going, DM? Greetings from down under. My group and I have watched your videos for the last several years. It was your channel that inspired us to pick up the game, and we've been playing ever since. Oh, cool. I'm reaching out because we're starting a new 5e game, and I need some advice. I'm debating playing a ranger, but the more I look at the class, the more I reconsider. The base class doesn't seem to be as strong as, say, a fighter or barbarian, at least when it comes to combat. Trouble is, I have a great RP idea for the character. Are you aware of any homebrew classes or subclasses that might allow for me to be a little more bulky in combat? Well, thank you for the question, Liam. I will say you are not alone in finding that the base ranger class is not all that strong. You are so not alone. In fact, that Wizards made a revised version of the ranger that, in a lot of ways, fixes that. Although I would probably argue not entirely. You know, the Rangers in 3.5, I think, were a lot more sturdy. Part of that maybe because they had companions, but I think that you can accomplish a heftier Ranger in a couple of ways. The first and easiest way is to just use the revised Ranger, because you're probably looking at the original 5e Ranger, and they made some changes on that in order to make it a little bit better. I would also say that you can use Gloomstalker, which I think is from Unearthed Arcana. The Gloomstalker subclass is great. It gives you Dread Ambusher. I think it also gives you like Dark Vision, right? And somebody said Horizon Walker. You can also always go homebrew. Just make sure that, you know, if you do go that route, that you clear all the stuff with the DM before doing that. But yeah, you're not alone there. And, you know, even when I ran Tantor, I remember thinking like, man, he's the Ranger was not, it's not what it used to be. It's gotten better with those changes, but yeah. Have them check the D&D wiki page. There are dozens of homebrew classes. There may be ranger variants. Any of the subclasses outside of the PHB being said. I'm playing a ranger now, says Kirk, and it's lackluster, but I had a character idea I love, and the group isn't combat intensive, so it's working. Well, that's good. And, you know, sometimes it can be tough, because I've more than once decided like, oh, I'm going to play a character that's not so combat centric, but then inevitably you feel a little left out in combat when you're not able to contribute so much, at least from like a DPS standpoint. But, you know, we've talked about how you can contribute in many other ways as a support character. If you're, you know, giving buffs or debuffing the enemy, that's always fun. Gloomstalker's such a great ranger subclass. Yeah, Gloomstalker's great because it gives you the Dread Ambusher, and in Baldur's Gate 3, it's really great because it's like a whole extra attack. Let me know that I was featured on SOB Wednesday. I took a screen. I'm not sure what that is, Nolly, but I appreciate you letting me know. Xanther's Guide to Everything. Greybeards can do everything except set the voice channel status. Oh. Yeah. So I guess the short answer for you, Liam, is supplemental content. Books besides the PHB. So Xanther's Guide to Everything, Unearthed Arcana. Those are going to have the things you want. And then also just check out like the check out online what kind of homebrew classes there are. You can I'm sure you can find some stuff out there that's got like even PHB Hunter, Beastmaster is. Yeah, I guess the Hunter's not so bad. But it does, I guess, depend on which one you're talking about. Tag me in the clip that you grab. Okay, well, I'll have to check it out. Not sure. Gloomstalker was your first PG3 run through. Yeah, I have. I think that was what I did really early on in the game, but I respect so many times in that game. Xanther's my favorite companion book. It's got tons of stuff in it. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I was looking at, actually, when I was looking up stuff for this question about Rangers seemed to be from Xanther's Guide. So I've heard great things about that. So if you don't have that already, get that. And of course, you don't always have to get it. You can always just look it up. I mean, you wouldn't steal a car. Oh, well, that's very nice to hear. I'll have to check that stuff out. Depends on why you want to go. Ranger Barbarian with Outlander background might solve everything. Oh, that's an interesting point from Rob. You might not even go Ranger at all. It might just respec as a Barbarian, and if you can accomplish what you want to from an RP perspective with an Outlander background of a Barbarian, maybe you just do that. I will say, like, with RP stuff, you can kind of always explain stuff away, right? Because, like, I frequently bring him up, but Studebaker Peppercorn, he's a warlock, right? He's like a bard warlock. But he's like a bard warlock in spite of the fact that he doesn't have that many skills. So, like, bard warlock is not entirely necessary. Well, actually, I guess that might actually be a bad example, because in Studebaker's case, the reason that he's a little bit of a jack of all trades and like a little versed in everything is because of his family and all of their respective classes. We still got to build that out too. So I got to build out the whole rest of the Studebaker of the Peppercorn family, but we'll get into it. We'll do that. Did you tag me on Instagram, Noli? I'll have to go look at that. All right. So we've got one more question this evening, and then we'll do a little bit of chat and just hang out and see what's going on. If you were to join my online game, you would have access to everything I use on D&D Beyond. Oh. So do they have that now where you can just like run and play games, join games on D&D Beyond? I wonder if they're going to like implement that stuff seamlessly with like VR. Where's the list for the peppercorns? Golly, who knows? I'll have to find it. It's somewhere in the Discord, I think. Anyone else remember when they had a handbook for each class? No way, I don't remember that. Oh man, just yawning. I'm getting tired. I'm turning into Rigsby. I don't know. Also, like, are people's allergies all messed up, or is y'all's allergies messed up as me? My goodness gracious, the last week or two has just been like pollen city, and I am allergic to pollen, so that is not fun. Host wants you to come on the show. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, maybe I can do that then. Little Third Brown books for 3rd edition. Oh my gosh, that's true. Oh man, that's nostalgia. I'd forgotten about that completely. Yeah, they're like, they're not like hardcover, right? They're just like they're more pamphlets than they are books, right? I remember those. That sounds so cool. I had completely forgotten about those until you said it like that. The thin little brown books. I remember that stuff. Yeah, didn't they have like supplements like that too? Weren't there like modules and stuff like that? Gosh, third edition and 3.5 produce so many books. The younger kids, I think, have no idea. If you're like 5e only, you have no idea how many books there were. There was like an entire, I remember at one point at Books A Million, this would have had to have been like 04, 05, 06 maybe. But there was like a whole shelf. Just a whole shelf of them. It was crazy. We would just go in there and sit for hours and just read stuff. Just like find random feats or spells or abilities to apply to a character. That was the best part about 3.5 is just you just go digging through some books. Sword and Fist, that's right. Swords and Sorcery. Paperback workbook looking books, yeah. Yeah, I remember those things. All right, so let's do our last question of the evening. We'll talk about that a little bit, and then we'll do a little chat, and then we'll be ready to get out of here. The last question is from Chris, in case anyone was concerned that we were going to go through an episode without a question from Chris. But let's get into it. Chris asks, recently my group has begun discussing starting a new game with a modern setting. D&D, Vampire the Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu. Someone suggested the idea of playing as ourselves. What are your thoughts on playing as yourself in a game? Well, Chris, thank you for asking this question. I'm glad you brought it up because it actually prompted me to look up something that Rigsby had told me about years ago. And when I say years ago, I think that this was like pre-pandemic. This was like 2018 or 2019, I think, that Rigsby told me about this game. Maybe that timeline doesn't line up in terms of how long it has existed, but I immediately thought of this The End of the World game. So Rigsby told me about this years ago. I've never played this, but I would like to because I think the concept of it is really cool. So it's a TTRPG. It's about surviving the apocalypse. It looks like there's several different versions of what the apocalypse is. But the gist of the game is, and the whole bit is that you are yourself. So, in fact, I think if I remember correctly from what I understand, part of the bit of the game is that, like, you start as you are at that moment. So, like, not only from a stat standpoint, but also from, like, you only have whatever you have on you. So, it's like if you have stuff on you, you can use it. But I think that I don't know if it was last week or the week before, we did a thing where I like made stats for myself, and I really need to make myself onto an actual sheet so that it's just easier to like look at and reference. But all of that said, like, I don't know how thrilled I am at the idea of playing myself in a campaign. I guess it depends on what the circumstances are. Now, in a circumstance like that, I think it would be cool because everybody would be being themselves, in which case it would be kind of a different exercise. It would almost be like an anti-role play in that sense, because you would be, in fact, just being who you were and only adapting to the scenarios accordingly. But that actually might make things easier. Certainly would probably make them more genuine in terms of what your responses were and how you reacted to things. So, like, if we were just playing if we were just doing like a regular 5e campaign, I have no real interest in being myself. Even if we were doing like a D20 Modern campaign, I'd really only be interested in playing myself in the context of this, where everybody is playing themselves. So I guess with your question, that's what everybody in your party would be doing. That'd be pretty cool. The Morrow Project, awesome game from the 80s. Be very careful playing as yourself. It can get very personal real quick. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you might not like what happens. I played myself in a Halloween one-shot. Said it last week, straight 17s down the board. Don't take things personally if something happens to your character. Have everyone make their own stats about themselves. Yeah, that's a good point, too. Like, who's in charge of making their own stats? You? I guess then that's okay. But, yeah, it could get tricky. It could get personal. But, just like with everything else, you just got to remember that you're just playing a game. There are two rules for playing yourself. One is it's okay to play an idealized version of yourself. 2, under no circumstances may you ask someone if they are playing an idealized version of themselves. Yeah, I like those rules. Those seem to be fair. It's like, listen, it's totally fine for you to exaggerate a little bit, and like nobody can call you out on it. I think you should be a homework for the Discord. Create you as a character on a character sheet based on your current life stats. Jeez, I don't know what people's that I don't think that would be very. Oh, you mean I see what you mean. Man, I don't know why, but for some reason when you said that, I thought you meant everybody make a character sheet based on me, because that sounds terrible. But I see what you're saying now. Everybody make their own character sheet. That actually is a cool idea. If you're on the Discord and you want to participate in that, let's do that. Let's make the deadline next week. So sometime between now and next week, post character sheets, and I don't know, maybe we'll talk about them. See what that's about. That'd be interesting to see what everybody's thoughts are on themselves. Can't help but imagine a situation where playing that game is how the table found out someone concealed carry. Oh, no. Yeah, well, you certainly wouldn't want things to escalate to that place. But, hey, if you were playing that game and those were the rules as to you only had what you were carrying on your person, that might actually be beneficial for you in-game. The Morrow Project is the game where you basically determine stats by doing a literal personal inventory. How much can you lift? How fast can you run? Etc. Yeah, I think Midnight that I think that this End of the World game works like that, sort of similarly. That's the whole idea, is that you are the character and it's based on you and your current stats. Lately with my rolling, not sure I would want to see me die. Probably make me an artificer. Yes, and speaking of Discord, thank you, Chris, for the reminder. There is a link to the Discord there that he's placed. I've also got one in the description for you to go check out, so go hang out with us in the Discord. I'm not always in there. Oh, man, I'm tired. I need to catch up on some sleep. Oh, you know what it is? It's because I mowed the lawn today, and that took some energy. Mowing the lawn and edging the lawn and blowing off all the stuff off the driveway. Guy covered in grease wrenching on the monster truck death machine. Asking if these wheels are big enough or not. Wait, what? Oh, man. All right, well. So I guess that we're officially in chat. We can kind of talk about anything. What's going on with everybody? How was your week? What are your good things of the week? My good thing of the week is that I'm feeling better. I'm probably at like 99%. I'm not fully back because the pollen, but man, I'm really like, got the Rigsby-itis. Oh, so we've got the Super Bowl this week, right? That's a thing that's coming up. We've talked about that already. I still think it's probably going to be the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is just too crazy. But who knows? I could be totally wrong. I've been totally wrong before. I was totally wrong as to what the Super Bowl would be. In fact, my choices were the exact opposite of what it is. So I still think it's going to be the Chiefs, but who knows? We'll see. What do we got going on? I'm so stoked for the shout out. Oh, well, good. I hope people, remind everybody too, again, to go check out that Big Bad remix. It's dope. I've got the SoundCloud link in the description, so go check that out. What do we got here? It was your birthday this past Wednesday. Whoa, congratulations on being alive still. Good job. Big 40, huh? That's cool. Well, hey, at least 40's not 50. You know what I mean? Got your iron infusion. Nice. I'm glad, Ruby. Hope that it went well. Let's hope that it's as minimal discomfort and or pain as possible. It's either going to be 10 to 14 or 50 to 56. I tend to agree with that, actually, Avram. I think that it's going to be either low, because like the defenses are going to show up, or that it's just going to be a shootout. It's just going to be quarterback. Oh, don't worry. You can always catch the video. What do they call it? The VOD. And then, we'll be back next time. Officially adopted a dog today. People want to see him. Please, I definitely need to see Doggo. Please drop those pictures in the Discord. Definitely want to see that. Congrats on completing another orbit. Yeah, no doubt. My wife's birthday is actually going to be... What's today? Friday? My wife's birthday's Monday. So that'll be fun. And then there's Valentine's Day, which we didn't really talk about at all. You know, I hope that everybody enjoys some chocolate and stuff. All pet pics in Discord. Yeah, no doubt. I'll throw some chocolate milk pics in there. She's crazy. Chocolate milk is totally out of control. Good news on my end. Put fencing up around the future chicken coop. Nice. It's really hard to stop the Chiefs from putting up monster numbers. On the flip side, when they do, they can't seem to stop the other side from scoring either. Tomorrow's also Chinese New Year. Is it really? Isn't it the year of the... What's this year? Last year was the rabbit. What's this year? And thank you, Ruby. I will let her know. Yeah, I definitely want to see... I definitely want to see the doggo. And yeah, somebody, can we drop another link in the Discord, another Discord link in there? I've got one on the, it's in the description, and then somebody can drop another one in there for Tletna to click on. Dragon, you're the dragon. Whoa, that's cool. Any dragons? I'm a rabbit myself. Got my wife a set of those primary school Valentine's cards. She gets one per year, so 30-year commitment. Hey, what's happening, Song? We're just about wrapping up. We're doing some chat, so. Description 1 said expired. Oh, man. Okay. Well, can somebody put another Discord link in there? I'm a snake. I'm a dragon. What's your Chinese zodiac song? Have we talked about that before? I don't know. I know I'm a rabbit because I'm 87. My wife's a rabbit too. Rooster, tiger. I'll tell you what. Let me get a link for the Discord. Copy. How long does it last? There, I just put one in there too. Hopefully either one of those will get you in there. So, all right. Wow. Well, we are at the end here, folks. And usually I know we go a little longer than an hour, but as you could tell, I've been yawning. I'm kind of going to be heading towards bed here in the next hour or two. I've still got to edit this thing and get all of that together and then post the audio up. So, but the good news is, since I'm not going too much longer over an hour, I won't have all that much to edit out. It'll just be a matter of balancing the audio. So before we get out of here, we like to remind everybody of the email address, which is, what is the email address? It's bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. Please send any questions, complaints, criticisms, critiques, all of those things to bardadvice@gmail.com. If you got something you want to talk about, you know, even if it's not necessarily a question, it's just something that you want to discuss on the pod, just send it over. bardadvice@gmail.com. We'll take a look at it. If you want to get some merchandise, you can do so over at manshorts.com. And if you would like to contribute anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Y-A-H-Z-I-C-K. Let's see. The audio for this podcast will be available tomorrow. Yes, please smash the like button. And before I get out of here, actually, just remind everybody once more about the D20 debate show that's going to be coming up. That will be this Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is when we normally have the D&D editions on the channel. But at least for this week, as well as next week, we'll be running the first episode of D20 Debates, which is going to be Barbarian versus Bard. Please go check that out and let us know what you think of it, because it's going to be very important for us to know whether or not you like it, so that we can make some decisions as to how we're going to be moving forward with the channel. You have a criticism, longer pods. Yeah, well, we'll try. Hey, listen, if you want longer pods, y'all send in more questions. And that's not for you, Chris, because you send in a bunch. But yeah, anybody else, send in questions. We need content. It's called the Friday Night D&D set. Yeah, that's the one. And we welcomed Jay to the Discord this past week. It seems like that we're getting more and more people on board for that. So yes, please like, please rate the podcast, please share. Have a good weekend, everybody. Yes, no doubt. Please have a great week, and we will see you when we are back next time. So as a reminder, we will be back here, same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday on the Man Shorts YouTube channel. The audio for this podcast will be made available tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time. And beyond that, I hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. I hope they have a great week, and we'll see you next time.